Howdy, y'all. You're listening to Life's a Party. This is your host saying hi. I'm Emily Mai, and joining me today is a very good friend of mine. We go way back. She's a real squirrel nut. It's Nim. Say howdy, Nim.
Howdy.
This is the very first episode of Life's a Party, so today's episode will be all about first impressions, the good, the bad, and the unfortunately awkward. We'll talk about who I think I am, who people think I am, and hopefully it'll give you a feel of who I actually am. I've got a lot in store for you guys, but first, let's start with a question to ease us into things. Nim, speaking of first impressions, you're single, I'm not single, our friends are very single. What's the dating scene like for you?
Sad. Does that work?
You know, that's cool. You're a strong, independent Nim who doesn't need anybody more than that. So let me just set the scene for you for this question. You're dating because you're a strong, independent Nim who also wants a boo. Nothing wrong with that. You're doing some online dating because that's how it goes. Nothing wrong with that. You find some photos of you looking just the right amount of fun, hot, and flirty. The picture of you with a beard is definitely in there.
It works them in.
You're setting up a profile. What's in the bio?
Oh, hopefully some fun quip. Probably something nerdy because that's what I'm into.
Alrighty, so big question. Do you make the first move?
I barely make the first move in friendships. I'm probably not going to make it in a relationship.
Alrighty, so your potential boo says, hey, hi, how you doing? What's your opening line? How do you respond?
Hey. I'm not a wordsmith. I'm good with just raw talking.
You're just good with the raw talking, right off the bat?
Yeah, I'd rather not deal with formalities. Let's get real fast. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what are you gonna ask them first? How do you get to know them?
Just start with probably little basic questions, but then I obviously want to know who they are as a person. I'm not gonna deal with just dumb things most of the time. So I know you help our friends with online dating in particular. Even though you're not going out on the scene, what would you do if you had an online profile? Just so you can help me.
If I had an online profile, first thing, all my photos, I'd make sure they're all just me, so no one else is in the photo, no distractions, no, ooh, who's that friend of yours? Because that's creepy, that's weird.
And sad.
Don't like that. Definitely find some photos of me doing quirky things, so I don't care about me looking hot, I don't care about me looking hot damn. But I don't know, I do a lot of really weird things. I have pets, and pets is always a nice thing to oh wow, what's the name of your dog? I've got some bunnies, I've got some dogs. Man. Yeah, it's a nice conversation starter, for sure. And I probably have something in there about stuff I like to do. I skateboard, so maybe something like that, or I do art. Just kind of to show that I have a life outside of anything, I guess. And then the bio, I myself am a fan of puns. I love puns. I love a good joke. I love a good quip. Something in there. My name's Emily Mai, so my name is so easy to make a pun with. I literally said the word Mai in that sentence and I laughed internally. So I feel I'm pretty easy to, start the conversation with. If I can make a pun, I will. I 110% will.
Yes, you will. I can confirm this. I know her. She will make a pun.
As far as the dating scene goes, I feel I like to talk. I love the talking phase. Some people are very awkward with how do I respond? What do I say? Nim?
You mean this podcast with me and you right now?
Yeah! But I do have a lot of fun with that kind of stuff. I love just coming up with different questions, I guess. I feel a lot of people go to your basic, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? Where'd you go to school? What's your major?
Okay, it's not a bad icebreaker, okay?
It's something. It's a little chip at the ice. But I feel you can start out with that stuff. It's nice to know right off the bat. But I do to drop a weird question. Maybe a hypothetical question, maybe something that'll just really make them think, really make them question their life and why they're talking to me and why they're considering me.
Or maybe to even get out a secret humor.
That's true, that's true. I immediately go for like the crude, weird humor where like it's part of the package. If you can't get my humor, then you can't get me. And like I have to figure out right off the bat if we're compatible. And if that's not the case, then sorry.
Yeah, you gotta get those dick jokes in somehow. Oh my god, did you start?
Well, now that we know who exactly wears the pants in this relationship, let's talk more about how this relationship started in the first place.
Oh god, we're gonna go back 10 years.
Now, Nim, I've told the story about a million times because Nim and I go way back. 10 years back, way back. Apparently it's been 10 years.
That's a decade!
We're very old. But anyway, she's seen my emo phase I'm totally out of. I've seen her awkward teen phase that she's totally out of.
No.
We've seen each other go from band geek to theater nerd to being just lost enough in college to not know exactly what we're doing anymore.
And covered in paint.
So for whatever reason, I have this day ingrained in my memory, and it was just, I feel like back then I wouldn't have thought it was like that big of a deal. Like I met this crazy girl and all of a sudden 10 years down the line, like she's my best friend, and I find that absolutely wild considering how we met. So we went to the same middle school, junior high, high school. Basically we've been together all these past 10 years. And we met at the playground in the 4th grade. Back then, Nim was much more out of her shell than she is now, probably. She was definitely a weird kid, for sure.
Still am.
Still am. Still is. She's wearing a shirt right now that says weird, so I feel like that really captures her essence.
And it's upside down.
But back then, she was known for being a tree doctor. We were like...
To a select few.
We were 9 years old, so our imaginations were still pretty up there. She was a tree doctor. She had a really big thing with pencils, and I swear to God, I can't keep a pencil for maybe 2 days. Nim has had the same pencil for over, like 4 years?
I've kept mine for 4 years. It broke recently. I had to put her down. It made me sad. Her name was Sharon.
Sharon lived a long life, and let me just say, I don't think I've kept anything in my life for 4 years.
If I could repair her, I would, but I can't get the top off. I tried unscrewing it. It got stuck.
Just a moment of silence for Sharon.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway, back to the story. We met. I was really new to school. I was really new to this area. I had just moved here, and... one day at recess, I was hanging out with some people that I knew from my class. They happened to know Nim, and Nim was tending to a tree. I believe this tree's name was Vanessa.
It was. It was not my tree. I did not name it. I'm not clever with trees' names. My tree name was T.
So she was this tree doctor examining this tree. I remember walking up, and I hear Nim in this little, like, granny accent go, "She's pregnant." And she patted the tree trunk, and I was just looking at this girl like, oh my god, I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, you really shouldn't. Sometimes I look back on the weird things I do, and I'm like, yeah, that happened.
Anyway, that ended up happening. I ended up having classes with her. We did band together for 4th through 8th grade.
We had the same instrument, so we had periods where we were together for like an hour. And there was only 4 of us, so there wasn't many people to talk to.
Nim and I have gone through our weird phases together, and somehow we're still here. We're still going through them. We're still working it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first memory of Nim and meeting her and wondering what in the world I was gonna do with this person who was settling around me all the time. Now, you've heard what I have to say about meeting Nim. Let's see what Nim thinks about how we met.
Obviously Emily has a better memory than me. Probably when I was a child, I didn't think about anything. I do remember very clearly patting Vanessa's trunk and being like, oh, she's pregnant. Like, she's preggers. And I am always an old woman on the inside, so that's fairly accurate. But my first memories of Emily probably are I doubt they're similar to yours, because a 9-year-old Emily can't compare to, how old are you now? 19?
19.
Yes. I remember your birthday. March. But yeah, you were just good at everything, I think.
What happened to that?
But as a kid, I guess I just made friends with people. That's what kids do. It's so easy. And I was already at Stetson Hills for 4 years at that point. I knew everybody there. I still do. It wasn't a big class. You pretty much knew everyone. It was kind of like a small town, but just a small middle school. Emily kind of just naturally integrated into my life, and I was completely okay with it. I think about everyone as my best friend, and I love you.
Aww. Well, I hope all you listeners at home are feeling the love the same as I am.
So on to our next topic.
We talked a lot about schools, and we kind of grew up together. Kind of. I mean,
10 years.
10 years, it's something. I think a lot about how people see me, not in the literal 20/20 vision way, or a self-conscious staying awake all night thinking about if people hate me or not way. I just think it's really cool thought to think about all the wild and wacky impressions everyone has of me. I wonder about people I've only briefly met and think, gosh, what weird thing have I done that they'll always associate me with?
Apparently I'm a tree doctor.
But trees.
Oh, God.
Back in high school and junior high, like Nim said, everyone knew everyone. All the awkward things I did when I was 10 stuck with me until I was 18. I was an awkward kid at that age. All right, y'all, by the time I was in high school, I hardly had any classes with kids from middle school, and I tried very hard to grow from that mold. I wasn't gonna be the study bug or the painfully awkward girl with a crush on some guy. I basically ended up joining every cliche you can think of. I was an AP kid. I started out doing band. I did badminton, cross country, art club. I ran our GSA club. I did mock trial, tried Model UN. I even did theater and improv for a while. Hell, I even tried cheerleading for a year.
Wait, what? Backtrack. You were a cheerleader?
Yeah, when I got into university, 8th grade, I ended up finding a lot of really fun people that I had a lot in common with. Anyways, when I got into university, I ended up finding a lot of really fun people that I had a lot in common with. Now, if I'm being honest, the friends I've made aren't quite as social, and I definitely think it was a little overwhelming for some people. All of a sudden, I was in an environment where I could do whatever and be whoever, and it was really liberating for me. I don't know how college life has been for you, Nim, but I think I can safely say that I've become the howdy girl in all of my classes.
Yeah, that seems to be your stapler, Mark.
So the way that started, honestly, I have no idea when I started saying howdy. It just kind of started. I'm not from the South. I'm not Western. No. We live in Arizona. That's kind of close to Texas, I guess.
Not enough for you to say howdy.
Well, I say it anyway. Yes. But it kind of just started out as, like, whenever people say hello or hi or hey, it just felt very...
rehearsed.
Yeah, kind of one-dimensional. Not that there's anything wrong with saying that. It just felt like when I say howdy, people perked up and they looked at me and they were like, oh my god, this girl just said howdy to me. How do I even respond to that? And you get an immediate connotation to what kind of person I could be to say howdy to you. Either I'm very Southern, or if you can figure out from my accent and the way that I look, I am not, and I'm just weird and quirky. But I had a lot of times in college where the professor will ask us to introduce ourselves, and surprisingly people have been kind of quiet in my classes. I don't know if that's universal or if it's just the specific classes I'm taking. What do you think, Nim?
For some of my classes, maybe like one, it's just my math class is where everybody's completely silent. My other classes, I have people who speak out and talk freely.
See, I'm definitely the person in class where if it's too quiet, I get uncomfortable because every sound or everything I say, I'm just like, should I not be talking? Am I being annoying right now? Do people think I'm trying to be the class clown when I'm really, really not? I'm just super friendly. So there have been moments where the professor will ask us to introduce ourselves to each other, where it's dead silence, and that silence is broken by me going, howdy, y'all! And going into, hi, I'm Emily, I'm this, that, or the other thing, and going into whatever it is that I am exactly.
Yeah, I think you've definitely rubbed off on me, or it's just my fight or flight, because once I transitioned into high school, I became very quiet, closed off. I don't talk to anybody unless they talk to me first, because I don't know how to interact with people. But now that I've come into college, when it's silent, I'm the one who speaks out first, which is very weird. So I think that's only thanks to you.
There have been certain classes where it is really quiet, and I recognize that, especially at the beginning of the semester. So I try to throw in some things where, like, I'll say something kind of goofy just to see if anyone will say anything, or maybe they'll laugh, or maybe they'll interact and I'll make a friend.
Oh, dude, I said cats in one of my classes and I got attacked.
Oh my god. There was this one period where I don't drink Starbucks, I don't drink coffee, I really like tea. But one of my friends got me into this drink, the caramel apple spice, I think it's called. And for a few weeks in a row, I was ordering it and I was drinking that because it was really cold. What that drink is it's steamed apple juice, whipped cream on top, some cinnamon, some flavor and bullshit up top. And I would take that to class just because it was warm and it felt like nice and festive. But I definitely had a class where someone asked me, oh, what coffee you're drinking? And I just looked down at it and I was like, oh, I just have some glorified apple juice, because I am a literal child. Classroom has maybe like 15, 20 people in it at this time. It's dead quiet. Everyone burst out laughing. I get like, same girl, same, or like a bunch of people kind of chiming in. And I was like, yes, like, thank you. You guys just saved me from making it like even more awkward. I definitely have a lot of moments where I don't realize how loud I'm being, or that I'm the only one talking, so I'll say something loud and obnoxious, not realizing that I'm being loud and obnoxious, and then I get those looks from people that are just like, did she just say that?
I feel that. I'll get those looks every now and then, because I say stuff under my breath and I don't think they can be heard, and then somebody hears it and they laugh, and I'm like, oh good, it was funny.
I'm also definitely that kind of person where I can't sit still, so my first semester had a lot of lecture halls where it was just me taking notes, me listening to the professor, and I got really antsy, so I sat really weird in my seat. I always sat up front because my eyesight is really, really horrible, but I ended up like meeting a lot of friends there, and I would be comfortable enough around them. I would put my feet up, I'd like use them as footstools, I would do really weird and random things, where after a while I definitely kind of thought, how are people in this classroom looking at me, just like knowing the weird quirks that I do. I got in the habit of getting really close with my professor in that class, and the TA was super, super nice, so I loved talking to her. And me and my friend got really, really close with her, where every morning she'd come in and we'd compliment her. We'd be like, oh my god, Nisha, you look so good today. Like, we'd compliment her outfit, and like, I could tell she was stressed some days, so I was just like, Nisha, you are a goddess. You are killing the game. I really, really went overboard. I wrote "You're a goddess" on like all my test papers just to see if my professors would like smile or like, do something fun. So I definitely got noticed for doing things like that, and I definitely started thinking like, oh my god, there are people in this class that have no idea who I am, what my name is, but they know that I'm the girl that every morning shouts, "You're a goddess!" from across the classroom. So yeah, I'm that person.
Oh, I know.
There is also this one girl who was in that classroom with me. She sat kind of towards the back. She had a few friends in there, and I definitely noticed her. But the first day of class, she came up to me. I was like trying to look decent for once. I had a hat on. I had like a cute little outfit. I was like really comfortable, and she came up to me and she was like, "Oh my god, girl, I love your hat." And like that really like made me feel so good. I was like, oh my god, like she's complimenting me, like I feel really happy about this. And I never talked to her again, didn't speak a word to her. So in my mind, she's the hat girl. And I ended up having another class with her, my political science class this semester, and we ended up being paired in a group randomly, and she was like, oh my god, you're that girl from my JMC class, you're the goddess girl. And I heard that and I was like, oh my god.
You are known for it.
I am the goddess girl. Hat girl thinks I'm the goddess girl. And I was just like, this is wild. Life's wild.
You never thought to look on Canvas and see if you could find her name in both classes? I've done that because I have people in 2 classes and I want to get to know them.
I think her name is Ashley. Okay. I'm actually really good with names, so like I think when her name appeared, I was like, huh, that looks familiar. And then she turned her camera on because we're doing Zoom now. And I was like, oh my god, it's Hat Girl. I know her name's Ashley now. So Ashley, if you're listening, hi girl, hi.
It's supposed to be hey girl, hey.
Howdy.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, now that we've talked a bit about what impressions we think we've left on other people, let's see what people actually had to say about meeting me for the first time. I sent out an anonymous survey where I asked people to send in their first impression stories of me. Let's read a few of them for the first time right now. Alrighty, Nim, what have they said about me?
Okay, so this one says, my first impression of you, oh, you're typical Asian smart girl who also draws and is probably way smarter and cooler than you. Later on, I was like, damn, this girl is on fire with kindness and jokes.
Oh my god, that's so nice. I definitely, when I was younger, part of me would probably be like, oh, like, people see me as the Asian, so like I have to be smart, or I have to be on top of things, or I have to get straight A's. And I feel like I lived by that for quite a while in my life, where it took a while for me to kind of step away from what people expected of me. But like, that's so nice that like after a while he was like, oh, you know, kind, or like, I feel like it's worth more to have those kind of impressions about my personality. If I'm fun, if I'm nice, if I'm on fire, I think that says more about me than what people see. And I think that's really cool that like whoever this was, over time, like their opinion of me, they got to know me and they got to see those cool things. So it wasn't that it just stopped at, oh, I'm the smart Asian girl who also does this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah, see, my first impression of you was like, oh yeah, she's a smart Asian girl. I mean, I didn't really see Asian because I was a child and I probably didn't know what that was yet. But now you're a dork.
Asians weren't invented yet when Nim was 9. Alrighty, we're on a roll. Hit me with the next one.
My first impression of you was that you were very outgoing and confident. Like everything you talk about, you knew what you were talking about. You were so nice when we first met, and it didn't feel you were being nice to be polite. You were being friendly and were so easy to talk to. You never hid your culture. You would show up in traditional clothes sometimes, and I thought you were crazy talented and artistic as fuck. All your canvases, ceramic creations, doodles, etc. That shit was amazing.
Aww. I same thing with that one. I feel like as I got older, I kind of started to embrace who I was. Like I started to realize, okay, I am Asian and I'm not gonna let that stop me. I'm not gonna let people assume who I am because of that. And I definitely started wearing like traditional clothings. Lunar New Year is a huge thing in my family, so I still dress up every year. I get, a new gown, I get new everything, I dress all in red. And it's like a huge thing of pride for me. So I think that's really cool that like other people can see that and be like, wow, that girl is like another Vietnamese girl, or like that girl's another one who celebrates her culture, and that's kind of what I want to like spread around, Especially like as a little kid, having those thoughts of like, oh god, I'm Asian, people are gonna judge me because of that. If you're Asian, if you're literally anything, if you look any certain way, I think it's really cool to be able to embrace that.
I've always thought it was really cool when you would come in in your like bright red outfits, because it was something I never seen. Almost all of our school is white, so they had no culture. So seeing you come in with something different, I'm just like, oh, this is fun.
See, I also remember like all the gowns were really long, like over to my ankles, things like that. I used to ride a bike to school, and I have a memory where my gown got caught in the gears of my bike, fell over, got caught, had no idea what to do, and there was another girl. I was like maybe in the 5th, 6th grade when this happened, so I was still very much like, shoot, I'm in trouble, but I don't want to shout for help because I feel like I'm very vulnerable right now and I don't know what to do.
Just such an easy kidnap.
But there's this girl who was walking by. Very slowly, she was looking at her phone. She didn't really react when I fell, but she stopped right next to me and she like, uncaught me, and she was really nice about it, and she helped me up. She didn't say a word to me. So sometimes I think about that, how she just like helped this random like Asian girl, and maybe I have some weird story in her mind of like I don't know.
Like, I was just walking around texting, and all of a sudden I just hear, and I look over, and it's just this little Asian girl on the ground, and her whatever was tied up in her bicycle.
You know, that's actually happened multiple times. It's kind of ridiculous because you would have imagined that at some point I'd get the message that it's not the appropriate thing to wear while I'm biking.
I only biked without my shoes tied once to watch them all get caught up in the pedals. I wasn't able to get out of it, so I had to drag myself home, and I learned you have to tie your shoes before you ride your bike. I'm surprised it took you this many times.
So clearly there's a few lessons I still need to learn. Nim, what's next? Guy or gal, have to say.
I'm not going to tell you if it's a guy or a gal. We're going to keep that as anonymous as possible. So this one says, you're smart and intimidating.
Interesting. Like that was their first impression of me.
Well, I know this person, they're very meek, so I can see why they find you intimidating, but I couldn't find you intimidating.
I've definitely had people call me intimidating, and...
Yeah, me, same.
There are situations where I understand where I can come off really strong, or I can come off as very loud.
But visually, both of us are twigs. You're smaller than me. At least I have height. I don't see how anybody can see it. We're intimidating.
I am, as I say, 5'2" on a good day. And maybe like 90 pounds.
I feel like you're lying to me.
Less than 90 pounds. Not that that's important, because appearances don't matter, Nim. It doesn't matter if you're a twig, because you're a tree doctor at heart.
Yeah, I am. I got that trunk.
Moving on to the next person.
The cool Asian girl I always aspired to be.
There's part of me that like looks at that and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm someone's role model. That is so wild to me. Just because I know that I am sporadic and spontaneous and weird and quirky, but like I think that's really cool that someone can look at me and be like, yeah, I want to be more like that person.
Yeah, that didn't start happening for me until obviously senior year, or as soon as I turned 18, I had some like little freshmen say, oh, I had to write about an adult that inspired me, and they wrote about me, and I'm just like, oh my god,
it's adorable.
I have that letter posted up in my room because it's just nice to know that you can have a nice impact on somebody else.
Oh, my heart. I think my heart can handle another one.
Well, you're gonna have to go through a few more, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
But this next one says, wild and full of fire. Instant friends, felt like puzzle pieces clicking together.
That's so sweet. I don't know who any of these people are, so there's part of me that's like, oh my god, I want to know who they are, so I can just like hug them and be like, you are the sweetest person ever. And like that's just really cool, where I feel like a lot of my friends, I kind of approached them and they were awkward or they were kind of by themselves, and that's kind of why I went up to them and talked to them. The fact that someone can say like, yeah, we just like clicked right from the start, I think that's really cool, and I think that's like really comforting to know that there are people that I do approach like that, and I'm kind of worried if I freak them out or if I like make them nervous or anything like that by, you know, having some strange girl go up to you and go, howdy, let's be friends. That just feels like a lot to take in at once.
Yeah, I mean, luckily we did it at such a young age where it didn't seem like a lot. For some reason, you thought I was good enough to stick around for, and I felt like our relationship just like melted like butter. It was just so nice. And now when you eat it, it just makes things better.
Smooth as butter. Anyway, I can't think of a smoother transition than that, so on to the next one.
So the next one is, you looked like a really quiet person, but you're quite talkative.
Interesting. I look like a quiet person.
Well, that's a reverse.
I am a very small person where I do find people intimidating, but I kind of have to like go through my head like, okay, what's the worst that's going to happen? The worst, I don't know, they're going to think I'm weird and I'm going to walk away knowing that at least I tried to say howdy and like be friendly.
My mind can come up with tons of worse situations, but on to the next one. I like this one. I just thought my girlfriend was a little too into you.
Well, I have no idea how to respond to that. Interesting. You know what? I know this in my heart of hearts that I am a very flirtatious person, and I don't mean anything by it. In my head, I do this thing where I'm like, oh, this person is a friend. This person is so nice. This person is in the friend zone. But I'm not going to just tell them, hey, dude or gal, you're in the friend zone. Because that's just awkward, and I don't want to deal with that confrontation if it's unnecessary. So I get comfortable because I think they're a friend. I think they're really close to me. I can be really handsy in the fact that I like hugs. I do a lot of hand gestures. Nim and I will know that if we get really excited about something, we start hitting each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am a very friendly person, and I like the fact that I can come off as comfortable to talk to and, like, personable. It's a weird comment, and I really don't know how to respond. Hopefully you guys are still together. Good for you.
You were definitely very comfortable with skinship, but over the years, like, I've never had a problem with it. I think it's fun. If you want to slap my butt, if I want to slap yours, it's all good.
You know what? If football players can do it, I think we can do it. 2 straight girls?
Yeah.
Straight? Moving on, the next one.
I knew I was in for a treat when you yelled Marco at me in the park that night. Thank God you had a sense of humor.
This could honestly be 1,010,000 people, if I'm being completely honest. I do this thing with our friend group where if we're ever lost, if we get separated, we shout Marco, and the rest are supposed to respond with Polo. But sometimes I'll do this with strangers. I'll do this if I see, like, groups of people, especially, like, people my age, our age, just to see if they're fun. I don't know. It makes me so happy when someone responds with Polo, and if no one does, then I'm just like, oh, like, it's fine. Like, it was really weird. If a stranger yelled Marco at me, I'd probably shout Polo back, let's be real, I would. But most people probably aren't like that, especially, I feel like I do this most at night, which is just like, I'm sorry.
Usually when you don't want to attract random people.
That's true.
I remember we did it at ASU campus at night. We were just coming back from one of the festivals downtown, and you yelled, Marco, just to, like, find our friend who was in the bathroom. And then we walk around the corner and some guy in a booth yells Polo.
It made me really happy, but, like, I was just like, that's just a fun little thing that I like to do with my friends, and it's nice to know that if I shout Marco in public, people either think I'm doing Marco Polo, or they think I'm shouting for my friend Marco, so, it's relatively, like, I'm okay shouting it. I don't think it'll attract too much attention. But yeah, there were definitely points where I did that, and there's this one story in particular where I was with 2 of my friends. We were at a park at night, as teens do apparently, and one of my friends noticed that there was someone out in the park, and they were like, oh, there's someone out there. I was totally high on life. I was just, like, having a grand old time. Don't do drugs. I don't do them. But we were there having a grand old time. I didn't believe them. I really didn't believe that there was someone there. I didn't see anyone. It was dark. My vision is not the best. We've talked about this. But I opened the door and immediately shouted, Marco! And then someone shouted Polo back. I was very taken aback. I was so concerned. It was this, like, really tall dude. He just, like, came out, like, arms wide open, like, as if he was going for a hug. And I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? What did I do? Who is this stranger that is now approaching our car? I am so sorry, guys. It ended up being, like, a really friendly dude, and we talked throughout that night. I was super, super weird. I was really out of it. It was so late at night. But they ended up being, like, a really close friend of mine, and yeah.
Fun. Okay, so let's go to the next one. I wanted to steal you from my sisters because I thought you were a cool gal, but also kind of intimidating at the same time.
Steal you? Okay, so I've got an idea of who this could be.
Oh, I know exactly.
Okay. Something that I find is especially true of people that are a bit more introverted is that, I do understand. I went through that myself when I was younger, in the fact that everything is so intimidating because you just keep wondering, like, oh my God, is something bad happen from it? Where I feel like, obviously, it's not something you can just, like, turn off and, like, switch on and off and on and off. But I think it's, like, important, especially when you're trying to make friends, especially when you're trying to be social, is just, like, okay, like, go into this, talk to them. If it turns out bad, it turns out bad, and you can deal with it when that happens. But it's just, like, I feel like 9 times out of 10, people are really friendly, and they want to make friends, too, and they're thinking those same things that you are. So I think it's really encouraging that, like, even though you have those first impressions of me, this person obviously grew closer to me and obviously, like, made friends with me, and I think that's really cool that, like, you can get past those first impressions, even though someone looks intimidating on the outside, like, on the inside, they're just a tree doctor looking for some friends. So what's the next one say?
This next one. OMG, you're so chill and funny. When I first met you, you were so easy to talk to and fun to be around. I'm so happy you're my daughter. Dash heart, mom. If I know I do know your mother. She did not write this.
She likes a lot of emojis, though.
Oh, so does my parents.
Yeah, she uses a lot of abbreviations, mostly because she doesn't know how to spell out the full word.
Chocolate.
But this one is my friend mom. We all have like that mom friend in the group. It's got the snacks, got the bandages, got the know exactly what to do, where to go, when we're going, what we're doing. And this one is my dear friend Alan. I don't know if I should be saying that. These are supposed to be anonymous.
Supposed to be.
But he did sign it. And he's my gay mom, and gosh darn love him. This is something that I actually struggle with as far as making friends, is making friends with people that are already friends. So, like, walking into, like, a friend group that are already really close and tight-knit. When I met Alan, he was friends with one of my other friends, so I was good friends with her, and I was like, oh my god, I'm being introduced to this guy that, like, they've known for, like, ages, and I was, like, almost intimidated by that, in the fact that I was like, I really like this person, let's see, like, what this guy's like. And he was so nice to talk to, so friendly. Like, we opened up right off the bat. We started talking about, like, our future, our lives, and, like, I call him mom, he calls me daughter. I love our dynamic. It's just, like, it's nice to have someone like that so you can go to and be like, hey, I need advice about this, or, like, hey, like, I've got some, like, stuff to, like, get out. And, like, honestly, there are times when I'm like, I'd rather go to Alan than my real mom.
Oh, I love that. That's really nice. I wish I had a mom.
I do have a mom.
I do have a mom, but yeah, birth mom. Anyways, the next one. I thought you were younger than you actually are, just because you have a baby face to me.
Interesting. I get this a lot, and a lot of people will be like, oh my god, Emily, you look like you're 12. Asians don't raisin, am I right? And I'm just like, oh,
Okay, but to be fair, you do take advantage of it when you can. I've seen you buy child's tickets to Comic-Con.
It's true. Ever since I turned 13. Well, okay, from like 13 to like, I think 17, maybe, or maybe 16, I bought like the 12 and under, and no one ever questioned it. No one ever said anything. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, there's perks to everything. So this next one says, when I first started to talk to you, you gave off those emo vibes, and I thought, oh, emo friend, I want one. They're so cool.
Okay, I will admit I had an emo phase. Am I still in that emo phase? I don't really know. I had a phase where I wore chokers and exclusively wore black and white clothing. Got really into heavy metal, still am. Ripped jeans, thought about dyeing my hair.
Even though it's pitch black.
Yeah. So I definitely was an emo kid, and I think that's really funny that, like, I don't know, I guess I'm so used to people seeing me and being like, oh my god, that Asian kid, that, like, seeing me for something like that is really interesting to me, just because, like, I don't get that, like, oh my god, like, someone saw me as an emo and wasn't like, no, like, I think that's really fun.
It would work with our friend group.
Yeah, I don't really know how to respond to that. Sometimes you just, like, feel the aesthetic. Sometimes you're just like, do I want to be emo now? I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe they were in that emo phase of their life too, and
That's
it just
true.
kind of easily transitioned.
Two emos together makes a great thing.
I never had like the full emo phase, but I had the emo music phase.
Yeah, My Chemical Romance.
Ding. So, as we transitioned away from our emo phase, let's transition into this next comment. I thought you were really funny and also pretty cute.
Pretty cute. I don't know how to respond to that, in the fact that I'm just like, part of me is like, thank you, but that's the awkward part that's just like, doesn't know how to take a compliment like that. In the fact that I feel like especially a lot of like the culture around like girls is like, oh, like they're pretty and like that's it, and like you see that and you're like, whoa, I want to get to know this person because they're pretty, and I'm just like, that's pretty stupid. And the fact like it's nice to like know that you look good, but it's also nice to know that, like, there are other things. So, like, I think that's really cool that there's, you know, another part to that, but it's also just like, I don't know. I have no idea how to respond to that. I'm so flustered.
Who knows? Maybe this anonymous person is secretly flirting with you. Anyways, so this other person's first impression of you was very energetic, full of life, and continues to be logical, and a very witty being. Happy face D.
So it's a happy face?
Yeah, it's a happy face. I just messed that up. I'm sorry.
A very happy being. This is another character trait about me. Not only do I say howdy, y'all, and just do things spontaneously, I also call things beans. I have done some digital art lately, and the first character that I did was just a bean. His name is Frank. I love him, and he is just what I created out of literally me being like, sure, why not? Let's do this. And he's adorable. His name is Frank. He's got like a little sheriff's badge. He's got a cowboy hat. He's he's so good. But it's just like what I use as like a term of affection, and I think it's just like a cute little like pet name that I use for my friends. So like that's really sweet.
It's a fun. I like being called a bean, even though I'm real tall, like a lima bean, once a sprout. Anyways. So this other person mentioned something that we mentioned not too long ago. My emo twin, same worldview, same taste in life, destined to be a weird pair.
A weird pair. I definitely agree with that. I have no idea who you are, but you know what? We all go through our phases, and I think it's really cool seeing someone go like through their phases, like coming into that, coming out of that, and like the way that Nim and I have grown up, like these past 10 years together, we have literally like seen each other go in and out of our like worst and best periods of life, and it's just like really weird to think about.
You've seen a dark phase of mine, and I'm surprised you sticked around.
We have like photo albums together where I look back and I'm like, oh my god, we were tinier than we are now, and we just looked awkward and puberty.
I didn't have a growth spurt. I was the same height as you. It was so good then. I guess we'll move on. We met at B camp, and from the moment you started talking to me, I knew you had a wicked sense of humor. You were super outgoing and funny. We clicked right away.
Oh, well, there's a few people this could be in my mind. B camp refers to Barrett camp, and that's something I did before my freshman year of college, which is what I'm doing right now. But yeah, I went into that camp going, okay, these people are like within my major, within my college, like I should get to know them and talk to them and make connections. Where I knew I had all these friends like Nim around from high school and things like that where I could talk to and go back to, but I also wanted some people that would be in my classes or people that I could talk to about different things going on with that college. And I kind of went into college with one goal, where it was to make a friend in every college at ASU. So I go to Arizona State University, and I am a journalism mass communication major. So that's what I do. I love talking. I love doing this. That's why I'm even here in the first place. But I definitely went into it going, I want to make connections. I want to have a law major friend. I want to know someone in engineering, math, social studies, things like that. And I went into that. I made a lot of friends. I definitely went into it being like, okay, I've got to be like extrovert mode. I've got to be weird and like go up to people and talk to people. And there was this one particular girl. She is one of my closest friends right now. She was at that camp. She was sitting alone during lunch. We had talked briefly during breakfast that morning, but I saw she was sitting by herself, and I was like, you know what? If I was in that position, if I was sitting by myself, I'd want someone to come talk to me because I'm feeling kind of awkward right now and just like, I don't know what to do. Part of me was like, shoot, I don't know if she wants to be alone or if there's something going on here. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make the first move. I'm going to say howdy first. I walked up to her. I sat with her. We had an awesome time at lunch. Some other people came up to us, and it was just like, it was really chill. Like, we just ate lunch together. And, like, that was how I started my friendship with her. And, like, we've grown so close now where I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Even people within our friend group, I feel like I do that a lot. And that makes me sound like I'm preying on people that are just by themselves, but I swear I'm not weird or creepy. I'm just weird and quirky.
And just like to make friends.
Where I definitely look at those kind of situations and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make this first move because like this person seems like someone I'd really like to get along with, and like I know that they're probably sitting there thinking like, wow, how do I navigate this the same the way I am? And I'm okay making the first move for those reasons, because I'm like, you know what, even if this doesn't end well, like at least I tried. Sometimes I have classmates that I'll see like in my class, and I'm like, that person just looks cool. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm just like, that person looks like someone that like I could get talking to. And like I had in my journalism class, there was this one guy that sat across the lecture hall. He sat by himself, and we did a lot of like group projects in that class where it was like, turn to your neighbor. And I always remember thinking, he doesn't have a neighbor. So I went over there one day, very awkwardly. I was so uncomfortable in the fact that like I was like, oh no, I'm gonna make him uncomfortable. I'm gonna make him think that I'm weird and that I'm like just being creepy and like really forward. I stood right in front of him and I said, howdy. He had his earbuds in. I was mortified. I looked at my friends on the other side of the lecture hall and I was like, do I go back? Do I just turn around and just like
Too late. Get aboard.
I sat next to him in his seat and I like put my hand on like his little side desk thing and I went, howdy, so that he would see like my hand working there and that I was sitting next to him. And he looked up and he was like, oh, hi. And I had this very uncomfortable conversation where I was just like, I'm making him uncomfortable, I'm so sorry, where I was just kind of like, hey, my friends and I over there, we're sitting over there, we saw you, if you want to sit next to us, that'd be really cool. My name's Emily, I'm blah, 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 blah. Here's my major. Here's what I'm all about. If that sounds cool, you can come sit with us. If not, you can stay there. And then I was like, okay, like, bye. And I walked back and my friends were like, yes, Emily, you did it. Because I had been wanting to talk to him for like almost a week, maybe even longer at that point, just because I was like, I really don't want to make him uncomfortable, but I want to talk to him. And I remember it was like a minute or so passed by and I was like, he hasn't moved, he hasn't gotten up, is he not gonna sit with me? I have no idea what his name is at this point. One of my friends went to high school with him and she was like, oh, this was his nickname. And I was like, but what's his like name? What is he gonna respond to? And he ended up sitting next to me and we had like a really good time during that lecture. And I was like, oh my God, all this like pressure of like me building up was just me getting in my head being like, oh my God, like I'm being annoying, when really like I was just trying to make a friend. And like he saw that, he noticed that, and we sat together like a few lectures. I think at one point he ended up sitting back in his original seat and I was like, oh, but I was like, you know what, like we had a really good time with that. And I was like, I'm perfectly happy with that. If he doesn't want to like keep sitting with me, like that's cool, like I tried. And like I really like try to talk to him like every morning. I'd be like, oh, like hey dude, like what's going on, how are you? I think I asked him for a snap one time. He didn't have a snap and I felt very awkward again.
Love that.
But like we still talked and we still kept in touch, and like honestly, such a cool dude. I respect him.
I think that's a really interesting output because that's obviously not my output. It's very hard for me to go up to people and interact with them. Hopefully I'm adapting that sense from you. And my idea of friendship, I'll hold on to somebody and I won't let go. That's probably why you're still here 10 years later. But I mean, the good thing about that is I will literally do anything for you. When you went to that Barrett trip, I was probably like fresh out of the hospital from back surgery, maybe like a week or two. It was still like fresh for a month. And I literally drove all the way downtown to come get you, a 30-minute drive. And so I just think it's interesting how you go out and meet people.
Within our friend group, I am referred to as the glue, in the fact that all of our friends are people that didn't know each other and at the beginning didn't honestly like each other. And I kind of brought them together because I was like, look, I love this person to death. I love this person to death. And if we can't hang out together, then there's going to be a problem here because I want to hang out with all of you and I don't know how to make this happen. Some of us went to middle school together, so we kind of knew each other. Didn't really, though. We were kind of close. But then others I kind of just like pulled in and I was like, hey, look, you'd be a really cool School edition, and I kind of just started adding people. There's like 6, 7, maybe even 8 of us now that like are all together in this group, and we do literally everything together, which I think is cool.
And it's not just like that one group where we're just here for you. If you can't make it to something, we're most likely still gonna go. And even some of us hang out on the side. I have one of our friends that we go see movies with constantly. She's my movie buddy. And I just think I love our group. I was one of the people who didn't get along with somebody, but now she's my movie buddy. At first, I think I just was jealous of how she held herself. She was just so confident. It doesn't seem like it when you talk to her, but she's very comfortable with herself. And I was just jealous of that. And after I got over that jealousy, I'm like, oh, she's actually really cool and very similar to my personality. I'm gonna hang out with her more.
There was at one point where someone approached me about my friend group. They weren't necessarily in it, but they were like an acquaintance of mine at the time. And they were like, Emily, I'm really envious of what you've created here. And I was kind of just like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. Like, I've always like been like, okay, I'm such a mess. I'm just like spontaneous. Hey guys, do you want to go do something? Or there have definitely been times where I've ambushed these guys where I'm like, hey, I know this person and this person don't get along, but I'm just not going to tell them that they're there, and I'm just going to parent trap them. It'll be a great, grand old thing.
It's like, oh yeah, we're going to the movies. And then once we get to the movies, oh yeah, she came too. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of points where I was like, oh, by the way, there's someone else coming. Oh, by the way, we're meeting someone else there. And then it'll
And then after that, we're going to somewhere else. And then after that, we're also going to dinner, because I haven't eaten today.
I have my priorities straight. But they were talking to me about like how they were jealous of me, and I was like, I have no understanding of like why that's the case. And they were like, well, you have this group of people that like would stop and do anything for you. Like Nim just gave that story about how she was still recovering from surgery, and like she came to help me out. And I looked at that and I was like, is that not a normal thing? Like, do you not have friends that like are willing to do those things for you and like go out of their way? Because 110%, I've done that for my friends. I've gone out of the way for them. I have hiked mountains, hills, valleys, literally done things that I never thought I would ever do.
I'm pretty sure you stayed up till like 2 a.m. just to finish making a bunch of buttons for a club.
I go all out for my friends. I do, because I appreciate them, and I know some of the things that they've been through with me and without me, and Nim has seen me through literally thick and thin, everything that I could possibly imagine that I wouldn't want someone to see. She's been there.
I'm pretty sure you've seen me break down. I've seen you break down. It's all good.
It's just like one of those things where I recognize that like, hey, I'm not necessarily gonna say like, I appreciate you, but like I do things that I'm like, yes, like I cook for you guys, and like I talk to you guys, and I have all these like fun conversations, because like I honestly like enjoy your guys' presence, and I love you guys, and I think that, you know, that's something that we should like all have, and that's something that like an environment that we should all start to like adapt to, like the idea that like, hey, you know, you're my friend, and like I have to acknowledge that like I appreciate you, I love you, I'm willing to do these things for you because like you're my ride or die, and like I've got 10 ride or dies. Is that a bad thing? Can I only have one?
No, I think having more is such a nice feeling. I've had groups in the past where you've been in some of them where they just kind of break apart, and it will take like one catalyst and then boom, it explodes. Our group, it's just so tight, and one thing I love about it is we're not always spontaneous. We're not always fun. We have those moments where we sit down and we talk to each other for hours about like just personal feelings and why different stuff we're going through. I love those days because we get to know more about each other.
110%. Like our friend group goes through a lot of different struggles too, where, you know, something will happen between us. There's a rift, there's some sort of miscommunication that we have, and we all together get together as a group and we talk about it. We talk about, you know, everything going on with us. If there's anything going on with us individually, if we have problems with each other, we talk about it, and we talk about it with everyone there so that everyone knows what's going on with each other. And it makes us closer. It 110% does.
I definitely feel a lot closer. We will cry sometimes at these meetings. We even have a guy in our group. Guys aren't really prone to showing emotions. He will cry sometimes. And I just think it's really cool that we've created such a supportive group for each other.
And And on that heartwarming message, I would just like to say that if you're not like me, if you're not like Nim, if you don't have those kinds of things, then that is perfectly okay. That you can cultivate your own friendships and your own relationships, and you figure out what fits best with you. If you want to go out there and talk to people, that's awesome. If you don't, if you're scared, that is perfectly okay. I promise you that you will figure it out and you will work it out and you will meet some amazing people in your life that will change you. Some will leave, some will stay, and some might even make it for 10 years. So that's honestly awesome, guys. Anyway, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you, Nim, for coming onto the show and talking about me with me. Tune in for the next episode where I talk about quarantine life and discuss how society is getting along, if it is. Alrighty, y'all, until next time, stay safe, wash your hands, and live your life. Thanks for listening. I'm Emily.
And I'm Nim.
And life's a party. Alrighty, y'all, until next time, stay safe, wash your hands, and live your life. Thanks for listening. I'm Emily.
And I'm Nim.
And life's a party.